Section 4E, Air Force Structure, 4.14, Department of the United States Air Force. Title 10 United States Code, Armed Forces, provides specified duties, responsibilities, and legal obligations of the Department of the Air Force. The Air Force's mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace. The Department of the Air Force is comprised of Headquarters Air Force and field units. It is responsible for preparing the air, space, and cyber forces necessary for the effective prosecution of war and military operations short of war for the expansion of the peacetime components of the Air Force to meet the needs of war. Headquarters Air Force consists of two major entities: the Secretariat, including the Secretary of the Air Force and the Secretary's principal staff, and the Air Staff, headed by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. Field units are the component organizations within the Air Force. Air Force distinctive capabilities to achieve strategic, operational, and tactical objectives unhindered by time, distance, and geography. The Air Force employs 6 distinctive capabilities: air and space superiority, global attack, rapid global mobility, precision engagement, information superiority, and agile combat support. Air Force primary functions. In addition to general and specific functions of the military branches outlined in the Key West Agreement, there are also primary functions of the branches. The primary functions of the Air Force include, but are not limited to, organizing, training, equipping, and providing forces for prompt and sustained combat operations in the air and space, strategic air and missile warfare, joint amphibious, space, and airborne operations, close air support and air logistic support to the other branches of service, operating air and space lines of communication, support and conduct of psychological operations, and equipment, forces, procedures, and doctrine necessary for effective electronic warfare operations. As stated in AFI 1-1, Air Force Standards, the Air Force will be a trusted and reliable joint partner with our sister services known for integrity in all activities, including supporting the joint mission first and foremost. We will provide compelling air, space, and cyber capabilities for use by the combatant commanders. We will excel as stewards of all Air Force resources in service to the American people while providing precise and reliable global vigilance, global reach, and global power for the nation. Secretary of the Air Force. The Secretary of the Air Force, SEC-AF, is a civilian appointed by the U.S. President by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. The SEC-AF is the head of the Department of the Air Force and is subject to the authority, control, and direction of the Secretary of Defense. Responsibilities of the SEC-AF include recruiting, organizing, supplying, equipping, including research and development, training, servicing, mobilizing, demobilizing, and administering personnel, morale and welfare programs, maintaining, constructing, outfitting, and repairing military equipment, constructing, maintaining, and repairing buildings, structures, and utilities, and acquiring real property and interests in real property. 4.15 Levels of Command and Responsibility. Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. The Chief of Staff of the Air Force, CSAF, is an Air Force general officer appointed for 4 years by the U.S. President, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. The CSAF is subject to the authority, direction, and control of the Secretary of the Air Force, and provides over the Air Staff. The CSAF acts as an agent in carrying out recommendations or plans by the Secretary, and exercises supervision consistent with the authority assigned to commanders of unified or specified combatant commands and organizations of the Air Force. As a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CSAF informs the Secretary of the Air Force regarding military advice rendered by the Joint Chiefs of Staff on matters affecting the Department of the Air Force, to the extent that such action does not impair the independence or performance of required duties as a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Air Staff. The function of the Air Staff is to assist the Secretary of the Air Force in carrying out his or her responsibilities. The Air Staff is composed of the Chief of Staff, Vice Chief of Staff, Deputy Chiefs of Staff, Assistant Chiefs of Staff, Surgeon General of the Air Force, the Judge Advocate General of the Air Force, Chief of the Air Force Reserve, and other Air Force and civilian employees in the Department of the Air Force assigned or detailed to the Air Staff. Responsibilities are organized based on function and identified with office symbol codes. The Air Force office symbol codes are provided here. A1. Manpower, Personnel, and Services. A2. Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance. A3. Operations. A4. Logistics, Engineering, and Force Protection. A5. Plans and Requirements. A6. Communications. A8. Strategic Plans and Programs. A9. Studies, Analyses, Assessments, and Lessons Learned. A10. Strategic Deterrence and Nuclear Integration, as designated by Air Force. Field Operating Agencies. Field Operating Agencies, FOA, are Air Force subdivisions directly subordinate to a Headquarters Air Force Functional Manager. A FOA performs field activities beyond the scope of major commands. The activities are specialized or associated with an Air Force-wide mission and do not include functions performed in Management Headquarters, such as Headquarters Air Mobility Command, unless specifically directed by a Department of Defense authority. Two examples of FOAs are the Air Force Personnel Center and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Direct Reporting Units. Direct Reporting Units, DRU, are Air Force subdivisions directly subordinate to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. A DRU performs a mission that does not fit into any of the major commands, but has many of the same administrative and organizational responsibilities. Two examples of DRUs are the Air Force District of Washington and the U.S. Air Force Academy. Note: the Air Force District of Washington, AFDW, headquartered at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, is a DRU to Headquarters Air Force, reporting to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. AFDW was reactivated in 2005 to address three broad objectives: align the Air Force command structure in the National Capital Region, NCR, and abroad, improve Air Force support to the Joint Force Headquarters, NCR, JFHQ, NCR, and designate a single voice for Air Force cross-service issues in the NCR. AFDW serves as the Air Force service component for coordination purposes to JFHQ, NCR, and the supporting command to the Defense Health Agency National Capital Region Medical Directorate. When the JFHQ, NCR transitions to the Joint Task Force, NCR, JTF, NCR, the 320th Air Expeditionary Wing, 320 AEW, activates and becomes the Air Force service component of JTF, NCR. When activated, the commander of AFDW is dual-hatted as the commander, 320 AEW. Air Force Mission Directive 13 delineates missions and clarifies assigned duties applicable to AFDW in both its Worldwide Air Force role and its JTF NCR Air Force Service Component role. Major Commands. Major Commands, MAJCOM, are organized functionally in the United States and geographically overseas. A MAJCOM, as shown in Figure 4.3, represents a major Air Force subdivision having a specific portion of the Air Force mission. Each MAJCOM is directly subordinate to Headquarters Air Force. MAJCOMs are interrelated and complementary, providing offensive, defensive, and support elements. An operational command consists, in whole or in part, of strategic, tactical, space, or defense forces, or of flying forces that directly support such forces. A support command may provide supplies, weapon systems, support systems, operational support equipment, combat material, maintenance, surface transportation, education and training, special services, and other supported organizations. Within the Air Force MAJCOM structure, there are two specialized types of MAJCOMs: lead MAJCOMs and component MAJCOMs. Lead MAJCOM. A lead MAJCOM is the type of MAJCOM that consolidates responsibilities for a particular function in a single MAJCOM, supporting the entire Air Force, as applicable. For example, Air Education and Training Command is the lead MAJCOM for education and training for the Air Force. Component MAJCOM. A component MAJCOM, CMAJCOM, is the type of MAJCOM that is the U.S. Air Force component to a Unified Combatant Command. A CMAJCOM is commanded by the Commander of Air Force Forces and includes supporting staff, one or more component-numbered air forces, through which it presents its forces to the combatant commander, and all assigned and attached forces. The CMAJCOM integrates, at the strategic level, component activities across all phases of conflict. An example of a CMAJCOM is Pacific Air Forces, the U.S. Air Force component to United States Pacific Command. For additional information on component relationships and roles, refer to AF Doctrine Volume 1, Command, AF Doctrine Annex 3-30, Command and Control, and AFI 38-101, Air Force Organization. Note: a MAJCOM can be both a lead MAJCOM and a CMAJCOM. Air Combat Command. Air Combat Command, ACC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 1 June 1992 and is headquartered at Joint Base Langley, Eustis, Virginia. ACC is the primary provider of air combat forces to America's warfighting commanders. ACC's mission is to support global implementation of the national security strategy by operating fighter, bomber, reconnaissance, battle management, and electronic combat aircraft. It also provides command, control, communications, and intelligence systems and conducts global information operations. ACC organizes, trains, equips, and maintains combat-ready forces for rapid deployment and employment, while ensuring strategic air defense forces are ready to meet the challenges of peacetime air sovereignty and wartime air defense. Additionally, ACC develops strategy, doctrine, concepts, tactics, and procedures for air power employment. The command provides conventional and information warfare forces to all unified commands to ensure air, space, and information superiority for warfighters and national decision-makers. The command can be called upon to assist national agencies with intelligence, surveillance, and crisis response capabilities. ACC also has responsibility for inland search and rescue operations in the 48 contiguous states. Overall, ACC operates more than 1,300 aircraft, 34 wings, 19 bases, and has more than 70 worldwide operating locations with 94,000 total force members. Air Mobility Command. Air Mobility Command, AMC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 1 June 1992, is headquartered at Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, and is the Air Force component to U.S. Transportation Command. AMC's mission is to provide global air mobility, the right effects, right place, right time. The command plays a crucial role in providing humanitarian support at home and around the world, and provides airlift and aerial refueling for all U.S. Armed Forces. Many special duty and operational support aircraft and stateside aeromedical evacuation missions are assigned to AMC. This rapid, flexible, and responsive force promotes stability in regions by keeping America's capability and character highly visible. Overall, AMC has 1 numbered air force, 17 wings, 2 airlift groups, and 1 airbase group. AMC has nearly 133,700 total force members who make the command's rapid global mobility operations possible. Air Force Space Command. Air Force Space Command, AFSPC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 1 September 1982, is headquartered at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado, and is one of 2 Air Force components of U.S. Strategic Command. AFSPC's mission is to provide resilient and cost-effective space and cyberspace capabilities for the joint force and the nation. AFSPC organizes, equips, trains, and maintains mission-ready space and cyberspace forces and capabilities for North American Aerospace Defense Command, U.S. Strategic Command, and other combatant commands around the world. AFSPC spacelift operations provide services, facilities, and range safety control for the conduct of Department of Defense, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and commercial launches. Through the command and control of all Department of Defense satellites, satellite operators provide force-multiplying effects through continuous global coverage, low vulnerability, and autonomous operations. Satellites provide essential in-theater secure communications, weather and navigational data for ground, air, and fleet operations, and threat warning. Maintaining space superiority is an emerging capability required to protect space assets. New transformational space programs are continuously being researched and developed to enable AFSPC to stay on the leading edge of technology. Collectively, AFSPC units are the warfighting organizations that establish, operate, maintain, and defend Air Force networks and conduct full-spectrum operations. Made up of cyberspace professionals, a diverse blend of career fields ensure the Air Force and Joint Force ability to conduct operations via cyberspace. Overall, more than 35,000 space and cyberspace professionals are assigned to AFSPC at 134 locations worldwide. More than 4,600 men and women conduct or support 24-hour cyberspace operations for 24th Air Force units. In addition, more than 10,000 Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve personnel directly support the AFSPC cyberspace mission. Pacific Air Forces. Pacific Air Forces, PACAF, was activated as a MAJCOM on 3 August 1944, is headquartered at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, Hawaii, and is the Air Force component of U.S. Pacific Command. PACAF's mission is to deliver rapid and precise air, space, and cyberspace capabilities to protect and defend the United States, its territories, allies, and partners, provide integrated air and missile warning and defense, promote interoperability throughout the area of responsibility, maintain strategic access and freedom of movement across all domains, and respond across the full spectrum of military contingencies to restore regional security. PACAF's area of responsibility is home to 60% of the world's population in 36 nations across 52% of the Earth's surface and 16 time zones, with more than 1,000 languages spoken. The unique location of the Strategic Triangle, Hawaii, Guam, Alaska, gives our nation persistent presence and options to project air power from sovereign territory. PACAF's airmen are postured to deploy at any given time in support of overseas contingency operations, many participating in non-traditional missions, such as convoy and detainee operations. Overall, PACAF has approximately 46,000 military and civilian personnel serving in 9 strategic locations and numerous smaller facilities, primarily in Hawaii, Alaska, Japan, Guam, and the Republic of Korea. Approximately 320 fighter and attack aircraft are assigned to the command, with approximately 100 additional deployed aircraft rotating on Guam. United States Air Forces in Europe and Air Forces Africa. United States Air Forces in Europe and Air Forces Africa, USAFE AF Africa, was activated as a MAJCOM on 20 April 2012 and is headquartered at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. USAFE AF Africa is a combined organization that provides 2 separate combatant commands. USAFE is the Air Force Service component to U.S. European Command, and AF Africa is the Air Force Service component to U.S. Africa Command. Both USAFE and AF Africa, which function together as a blended USAFE AF Africa staff, are commanded by the same general officer in 2 different billets. USAFE AF Africa plans, conducts, controls, coordinates, and supports air and space operations in Europe, parts of Asia, and all of Africa with the exception of Egypt, to achieve United States and North Atlantic Treaty Organization objectives. As part of its mission, USAFE AF Africa commands U.S. Air Force units, maintaining combat-ready wings based from Great Britain to Turkey. USAFE AF Africa directs air operations in a theater spanning 3 continents, covering more than 19 million square miles, containing 104 independent states, possessing more than a quarter of the world's population, and producing more than a quarter of the world's gross domestic product. Its role in Europe and Africa has expanded from warfighting to humanitarian and peacekeeping operations, as well as other non-traditional contingencies throughout its area of responsibility. Overall, USAFE AF Africa consists of 1 numbered Air Force, 7 main operating bases, and 114 geographically separated locations. More than 35,000 total force members are assigned to USAFE AF Africa. Equipment assets include about 217 aircraft and a full complement of conventional weapons. Air Education and Training Command. Air Education and Training Command, AETC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 1 July 1993 and is headquartered at Joint Base San Antonio Randolph, Texas. AETC's mission is to recruit, train, and educate airmen to deliver air power for America. AETC develops America's young men and women who have volunteered to serve their country into airmen, motivating them to embrace the Air Force culture by teaching, by our example, the core values of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. AETC's training mission makes it the first command to touch the lives of nearly every Air Force member. Over the years, more than 25 million students have graduated from AETC. Overall, AETC includes Air Force Recruiting Service, 2 numbered Air Forces, and the Air University. AETC operates 12 major installations and supports tenant units on numerous bases across the globe. Air Force Materiel Command. Air Force Materiel Command, AFMC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 1 July 1992 and is headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. AFMC's mission is to equip the Air Force for world-dominant power. AFMC delivers war-winning expeditionary capabilities to the warfighter through development and transition of technology, professional acquisition management, exacting test and evaluation, and world-class sustainment of all Air Force weapon systems. AFMC fulfills its mission of equipping the Air Force with the best weapon systems through the Air Force Research Laboratory and several unique centers which are responsible for the cradle-to-grave oversight for aircraft, electronic systems, missiles, and munitions. AFMC employs a highly professional and skilled command workforce of some 80,000 total force members. Air Force Special Operations Command. Air Force Special Operations Command, AFSOC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 22 May 1990, is headquartered at Hurlburt Field, Florida, and is the Air Force component of U.S. Special Operations Command. AFSOC's mission is to provide our nation's specialized air power, capable across the spectrum of conflict, any place, any time, anywhere. AFSOC provides highly trained, rapidly deployable airmen for global special operations missions ranging from precision application of firepower to infiltration, exfiltration, resupply, and refueling of operational elements for worldwide deployment and assignment to regional unified commands. The command's core missions include battlefield air operations, agile combat support, aviation foreign internal defense, information operations military information support operations, precision strike, specialized air mobility, command and control, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. AFSOC's priorities are to ensure readiness to execute global special operations today, transform our force and fleet to maintain relevance tomorrow, and invest in the resiliency of our force, family, and relationships always. The Air Force Special Operations Air Warfare Center, headquartered at Hurlburt Field, Florida, organizes, trains, educates, and equips forces to conduct special operations missions, leads MAJCOM irregular warfare activities, executes special operations test and evaluation and lessons learned programs, and develops doctrine, tactics, techniques, and procedures for Air Force Special Operations missions. AFSOC Special Tactics Squadrons combine combat controllers, special operations weathermen, pararescuemen, and tactical air control party specialists with other services to form versatile joint special operations teams. AFSOC has more than 19,500 total force members assigned and operates multiple fixed-wing and rotary-wing assets. Air Force Global Strike Command. Air Force Global Strike Command, AFGSC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 7 August 2009, is headquartered at Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana, and is one of 2 Air Force service components of U.S. Strategic Command. AFGSC's mission is to provide strategic deterrence, global strike, and combat support, anytime, anywhere. AFGSC is responsible for the nation's 3 intercontinental ballistic missile wings, the Air Force's entire bomber force, the Long-Range Strike Bomber Program, and operational and maintenance support to organizations within the nuclear enterprise. AFGSC is the guardian of the most powerful weapons on the planet and is the force provider for 2 legs of the nuclear triad. AFGSC's Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Force is postured around the clock to answer the U.S. President's call just as it has been for over 50 years. AFG-SC's bomber fleet remains prepared and equipped for nuclear deterrence and conventional global strike. Approximately 31,000 professionals are assigned to 2 numbered air forces, 9 wings, 2 geographically separated squadrons, 1 detachment in the continental United States, and deployed around the globe. Air Force Reserve Command. Air Force Reserve Command, AFRC, was activated as a MAJCOM on 17 February 1997 and is headquartered at Robins Air Force Base, Georgia. AFRC's mission is to provide combat-ready forces to fly, fight, and win. AFRC provides the U.S. Air Force approximately 14% of the total force for about 4% of the manpower budget. Capabilities include nuclear deterrence operations, air, space, and cyberspace superiority, command and control, global integrated intelligence surveillance reconnaissance, global precision attack, special operations, rapid global mobility, and personal recovery. AFRC also performs space operations, aircraft flight testing, aerial port operations, civil engineering, security forces, military training, communications, mobility support, transportation, and services missions. The commander of AFRC is responsible for organizing, training, and equipping all Air Force Reserve units. Overall, AFRC is composed of 3 numbered air forces, a Force Generation Center, the Air Reserve Personnel Center, 37 wings, 8 independent groups, various mission support units, and additional miscellaneous locations and ranges. AFRC has nearly 77,000 total force members assigned to accomplish the demands of its diverse mission. 4.16 Subordinate Levels of Command and Responsibility. Below MAJCOMs are several structured subordinate levels of command, each with an established purpose and assigned responsibilities to be carried out respectively, as briefly described here. For additional details on Air Force levels of command, refer to AFI 38-101, Air Force Organization. Numbered Air Force. The Numbered Air Force, NAF, is an administrative level of command directly under a MAJCOM. NAFs provide intermediate-level operational leadership and supervision. They do not have complete functional staffs. In non-component NAFs, the number of personnel assigned varies, but should not exceed 99 manpower authorizations without an approved waiver. A NAF is assigned subordinate units, such as wings, groups, and squadrons. Air Force Component Numbered Named Air Forces. A component NAF, CNAF, nicknamed as Warfighting Headquarters, is structured to perform an operational and warfighting mission in support of a Joint Force Commander. The 10 Air Force CNAFs are the primary operational level warfighting component commands. The CNAF headquarters normally consists of an Air Force Forces staff and an assigned Air and Space Operations Center or Operations Center. They are dedicated to supporting the Unified Combatant Commander and subordinate Joint Force Commanders across the full range of military operations. The CNAF Commander, assigned as the commander of Air Force forces to a Geographic Combatant Command, will normally also be designated as the Theater Joint Force Air Component Commander. A CNAF commander may also be designated by the component commander to command a joint task force, as required. Wing. The wing is a level of command below the numbered air force and has a distinct mission with significant scope. A wing is responsible for maintaining the installation and may have several squadrons in more than one dependent group. Wings will have a minimum adjusted population of at least 1,000, 750 for Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Command, to include manpower authorizations, students, and a percentage of contractor workforces. The different types of wings are operational, airbase, or specialized mission. Operational wing. An operational wing is one that has an operations group and related operational mission activity assigned. When an operational wing performs the primary mission of the base, it usually maintains and operates the base. In addition, an operational wing is capable of self-support in functional areas, such as maintenance and munitions, as needed. When an operational wing is a tenant unit, The host command typically provides base and logistics support. Air Base Wing. An air base wing performs a support function rather than an operational mission. This type of wing maintains and operates a base. An air base wing often provides functional support to a MAJCOM headquarters. Specialized Mission Wing. A specialized mission wing performs a specialized mission and usually does not have aircraft or missiles assigned. Examples include intelligence wings, training wings, and so on. This wing is either a host or a tenant wing, depending on if it maintains and operates the base. Group. A group is a level of command below the wing. Like the numbered Air Force, a group is a tactical echelon with minimal staff support. A group usually has 2 or more subordinate units. A dependent group is a mission, logistics, support, medical, or large functional unit, such as a civil engineer group. Dependent groups may possess small supporting staff elements that are organized as sections, such as standardization and evaluation or quality control. An independent group has the same functions and responsibilities as a like-type wing, but its scope and size do not warrant wing-level designation. Groups will have a minimum adjusted population of at least 400, 200 for Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Command, to include manpower authorizations, students, and a percentage of contractor workforces. Squadron. A squadron is the basic unit, the nuclei, and the basic building block of the Air Force. The different types of squadrons are either mission units, such as operational flying squadrons, or functional units, such as civil engineering, security forces, or logistics readiness squadrons. Squadrons vary in size according to responsibility and should be organized and resourced to allow airmen to focus on the Air Force mission. Squadrons will have a minimum adjusted population of at least 35 and can range up to several hundred personnel, which includes manpower authorizations, students, and a percentage of contractor workforces. Flight. If internal subdivision within a squadron is required, numbered, named, alpha, or functional flights may be established. Flights typically consist of 12 to 100 people. A numbered or named flight primarily incorporates smaller elements into an organized unit. The administrative characteristics for a numbered or named flight include strength reporting, like those of a squadron. Alpha flights are part of a squadron, usually a mission squadron, and are composed of several elements that perform identical missions. Functional flights are usually part of a squadron and are composed of elements that perform specific missions. Element. Elements are subdivisions of flights. Typically, flights are broken into 3 or 4 evenly distributed elements when necessary.